Hi guys, Shirley here. Today we're going to do a lovely scene from the Blue Mountains. The picture's beside me here, the video that I took with my brother and sister. We went for a bushwalk. It's a couple of hours long, but along the way we had beautiful scenes, and one of them was this lovely water, a stream flowing down a few rocks. So I thought it would make a great subject. Anyway, I'll do the sketch. I'll fast forward the sketch so that it doesn't take up too much time, and then we'll get into the painting. So I'll just tape those two corners down to start with to make sure I'm square on the page. Now I'll just tape up all the way around like I normally do, and I might fast forward this. Just spritzing the page. Every video I'm slightly rearranging the layout so that I'm trying to get the best view for you guys. It doesn't show reflections of water too much. I mean, you want to be able to see what's wet. You still want to be able to see the page. So that water's just soaked straight in. These paints need a little bit of wetting up. Used them yesterday, not too old. Just for atmosphere, I'm going to start with blue at the top. I tend to just use the big broad brush and just go straight in with colours. Oh. I remember I've got some white there. Don't really want that there. It's for later on. I bet I won't remember that. Blue across the top. Just going to mentally say I need to leave a little bit of white in the middle. So bring this down to the browns. Oh dear. Probably a bit better. So just going to remember the whites in the middle. I'll just go a bit warmer down the bottom here. Some of the warmth in there, leaving some white on that side, leaving a little bit of white in the middle. Right. I'll just let that dry now. So now I'm going to add some very pale green at the background. To start with, I'll mix what I've got here, the blue and that brown, and just in here at the back to indicate the mountain. Yeah, that's fine. Going to come down to slightly stronger. At the moment it's too vague to be picking out individual types of plants, so I'm just going to put in a few more layers like that. I'll make it a touch darker. As you go darker, I add a little bit of the brown to the green because I want it to be warmer as well, so very subtle there, subtle darkening of the bushes. I'm going to, I'll add in a little bit of the stronger green that I can see. I won't make it as bright as is in the photograph, so I'll add red to it, add brown to it, reddy brown. And I'll just let them blend in. I'll put some shapes, in other words. Shapes there, up here, over there. It's going to get darker and darker, but we're starting with the light areas first and letting those melt away so that the edges are faded out, not sharp edges. Encourage that. If you see any sharp edges, just put a wet brush, run a wet brush around the edges. And you can run it right across that trunk. Don't worry about the tree trunks at this stage. Just put in the greens as if that's all there is there. Okay, to do the steps you do need to have it quite dry, so I'm going to wait a little while. I'll just look around to see what other colours I can add. I'm going to try the new pink, the new burnt yellow umber as a form of pinkness. Just see how it goes. I don't want to make it real pretty pink, it's got to be a browny pink. So I'll just spot that in down the foreground. Yep, that's nice. And if I just squish the brush twirl the brush around, it doesn't get stuck into a corny shape. It's always interesting. You don't want anything to be too twee. And by making it very random like this, it's easier. Right. At the moment, now those little pieces have sharp edges, and I don't think I really want that, so I'm going to mist. It's another way of softening. Just put some little spray of water over that. And that's going to just spots everywhere. It's beautiful actually. And I don't want it to run, so I'm going to just lift it up a little bit. Put it on the edge there while I dry it. I'll use the dryer again. Okay. The next one I'm going to do is the tops of the rocks. And I'm going to mix up a normal burnt sienna and I'll just double check. I'll zoom in. This is the beauty of having my iPad. I can zoom right in and see the different colours. And see how that's nearly all blue. That one's got some yellow, greeny reflection bouncing off that. A bunch of greenery there. And this one looks like it's the natural colour of the rock we're seeing closer. So that's 3 different shades on top of those rocks. And then when we come down here, we're back to the greenery, the slight green colour. Look at that, beautiful. Now that's going to be a real challenge. I don't know that I will stick with all those. But what I might do is because I've mixed up the burnt sienna, I'm going to put that on my bottom rock here. Allowing for some reflections. Now to go slightly bluer, No, greener for the next one up. A bit too green, I think. Keep the this one happens to have not much white reflection on it, but it's got more shadow. Interesting to see if that, I hope that lightens up a little bit. Now the one above it even bluer, as I pointed out before, so let's go, let's see. I might put brown on one side so that it's not too confusing as, oh, too dark. Okay, I'll run the brown right across actually, and then I'll touch in a touch of blue there. Let's see what that does as a random colour. Sometimes the blue stains the paper and you can't lift it out. Okay. This one here I'm going to lighten on the side there. I'm putting my dry brush in and sucking up the paint. Down the front here is beautiful. Okay, and you know what? It goes to blue over that side, so let's put some blue on that side. So this is where you, if you're doing plein air, and you're out in the open, you do exactly what you see, and that doesn't change for the photograph. Do what you're seeing. Even if your mind says, oh, that's not going to work, just do it anyway. Now I've got the blue on my brush and I'm going to use it. Oh, I might go a bit purple. I do like a purple shadow. So I'm going to just put in some shadows across that thing. I wonder if I should wait till it dries. So this is what's going through my mind at the moment. I'll just darken the edges. Darken the edges over here while it's soft. Now I'm going to dry that off because I do want to put the shadows through those, and they're all sharp shadows. They're not blurry. Okay, we'll go back to that purple colour, and looking at the, half close your eyes and just look at the shapes that are on the rocks and just go for it. Crisscross lines, and they're going to be the branches. There's one that goes right across there. Oh, that comes down to the one below it. That's good. Continuity. Crisscross back there. There is some more brown in that, but I didn't put it in. I made it a bit too green. But I'll think about that later. Sometimes you can go back in and add a bit more colour. And that one might need a bit of white on the back. I don't think I've allowed for enough pattern. Okay. Right. Now I'm going to continue down into the front, but to begin with I'm going to put in those very dark steps. And I'll go to the neutral tint or lamp black. And I might add a bit of brown to it just to make it richer. Lamp black or neutral tint by itself, not rich enough. This time I'm going to turn the page so that I can get a nice sharp edge. Now, I'll leave the area for the water and just run this down as if it's the, well, it is the solid edge. Feather out the, not so much feather, but mess up the outer edge, because you don't want that to be too, what's the word, where's the next one here? Almost lost myself. You don't want that to be too straight on the edge because it's going to have foliage going, lapping over into it. So this one here, and this is about as black as you're going to get anywhere on the page, but you have to have some black somewhere. And this, oh, where am I? Up here. here. Keep loading up your brush, make sure you've got plenty of colour. I'm making a little bit brown, adding a bit more brown to the foreground one so that there's more detail, more warmth anyway. And drag it out to there. You can see I'm being very non-exact as far as the edge goes. It doesn't matter, it's just rock. It's not a building. That's the beauty of doing landscapes. Yep. And in this case, I'll just zoom back out. Almost comes all the way across there. So I'll just put a little bit in here and there. Right. Now, this is where possibly another brush might work. I've got this brush that's got an open edge thing happening. Yep. So hunt around for your brushes to find a daggy old one. That's enough for the moment. I might play with that later, but that gives me an idea of the waterways. I'll definitely be adding some white reflections using gouache into those rock surfaces to make them pop. Now down the foreground here we got a deep green tint plus the shadow. Now once again, and there's a lot of white reflection there, so I'll leave that area white. I'll come in with the dark. Will I do the dark? No, I think once again I'll do the light first. So I'll pick that colour. What colour will it be? That. It's actually quite pale. So I've already got it there. Don't have to worry. Okay, so let's just go for putting in those shadows. Purple and green. And then purple and green, and then of course very pale grey over the top. What a challenge. This is not easy. But the way I'll do it is mix up the colour first, of course. I'll go for a little bit of the plain old permanent green. I'm going to add purple to it, so it's a purpley green. I'll add some neutral tint, and now I'm going to play. But I'll tell you what. First thing I'm going to do is wet the paper. Just wipe that across. As much as I do want sharp lines, they can't be too sharp, so I'm going to see if that will make a difference. So I'll be able to just fuzz them out like this. Oh dear. Oh good. It's a heart attack thinking I hadn't been recording. Too pale. I need to go darker. But that's okay. What I'll be doing is going over these lines. Green. Some of them are branches. Let's just make out that they're branches. And then in here it's very dark purple. Just run this bank up a little bit. I'm just getting a bit the same there. I know there's a tree trunk going in front, but it's a little bit of a worry that it's looking too similar. I have a great fondness for purple in landscape. I think it really makes the green pop. I'd feel sad if I wasn't able to use it. Just run that over there. Okay. Getting a nice blending thing happening here, which is rather nice. While that's drying, I won't use the dryer on that at this stage anyway. I'll just pop it back into the reflections. Shadows, I mean. Shadows. And I might make them yellow into purple and a bit of blue. No, let's say burnt umber into the purple with adding a bit of blue, not real yellow. I'm just going to start painting in above, between that one and that one. As you can see, my proportions are out, they're not matching the photograph very well. Just going to put in a few shady patches into the foliage. Half close your eyes, then put it in. Here I've got a shadow thing happening. Whoop. Coming down like that. And in the background there, it's very dark above that, looking into the distance, and that's an attractive piece of shadow there. Like that. I'm just going to I'll bring it down a little bit to flatten that area off. Okay. How are we going? What's happening at the front here? Right. This is the ugly duckling stage. It's boring looking, but I can see some good bones happening. They're bones in there, and once we put all the trees over the top, it's going to look fantastic. So bear with me. For the sake of warmth, I'm going to put some shadowy colours in here. Burnt umber, burnt sienna, dark colours in amongst those, dark into dark, and then mix blue with those browns to make a really lovely neutral tint. Of course, you can go to something like moon glow. That's fun. Okay, sooner or later I'm going to have to start doing the trunks. I kind of want to leave it to the very end, because once you put the trunks in, you're kind of stuck. You have to keep them fairly clean. Oh, I can see what I can do here. While I'm waiting for the water to dry, I can put dark right along the edge of this water edge, which has got the plants falling over the... That looks great. It's got to be almost black, so and once again you can make it, just scribble it with the brush. And that's going to be the trunk there. I'm going to wash my brush and go back into the purple. And put a nice big shadow across the front. Oh, folded brush. Shadow across the front there. Building up these, doing them a second time. Once again, just working on some what could be branches. Doesn't have to be. I mean, obviously it isn't. We're not looking at what's above us yet. Or spots of dark in amongst the foliage. There's a pathway down here, and I kind of think I might put that in to add some interest to the edge. Okay, now we're getting there. I'm going to use my dryer now, dry it off, and I'm going to throw the trees in at this stage. Okay. Just to have control over the tree, I'm going to be using a wedge brush. It's called a Reeves 10 flat brush. That's probably the best way of describing it. Number 10. Now, what colour? You know, they're not really black. They're not, let's go for a nice dark brown. So I'll choose a couple of burnt siennas there. I've got the burnt umber, build up some paint. And then I'll get the Cobalt Blue into that. And what other blue? As you can see, I do dirty my paints up a lot by just not having a clean brush when I build up colour. That's okay. Just wipe, if you want a clean surface for next time, you just wipe the paint off. Okay, so here we go. I'm slowly twisting the brush so it ends up thin. And I'm going to follow my drawing rather than the photograph because the drawing's already got the lines on the paper. Darken it in. Yep. One down. I'm going to now look at the colour. I'm going to go for a slightly stronger brown. This one on this side starts here and goes up there. And that way, and then that way. Right. Put a bit of black down the base. Black at the base of this one too. A bit of texture. But not quite sure what's happening behind there, but start like that. I'm putting some darkness into those already dark areas. Now there's a bigger tree here. I'll go for the black and the brown, the blue. Because one of the tricks here will be not to put in every single branch that you see. Don't trace it. Don't try and do exactly as the photograph is doing. We can do much better by leaving certain things out that the photographer can't do unless they heavily retouch their photograph. Just putting some dark in the middle of these trunks so that it gives that round feel while it's still wet. Because we want it's backlit, you see the light's coming from behind. Now, my problem is going to be to decide. I think I'll move to a round brush now. That fat one was good for the very broad, close trees, but towards the back there. And you know, I'm going to go purple, a little bit more purple on these trees behind. I can come back later and make them blacker if I want to, but I'll just start with making their shapes a nice purple colour. Dark, of course, still in silhouette. And in reality they're probably brown, but from a painting point of view. Now that particular one probably needed to be a bit more upright because it's got these things happening underneath. So I'll just put in a hint of grass at this stage too. And back here. Kind of looking at the photograph and looking at my sketch. So trees are falling in from either side, basically. Right. Now I'm going to go to a rigger. Just can be thin black, just to finish off some of these lines. Here you can go to town if you want, because you'll never get as many branches as there are in real life, but just going to, with the thin brush like this, it's so much fun to be able to do more. Sometimes something hangs down like that, a dead one. Don't have them all lovely and lively. In fact, the more, oops, going over the top of one in front is not a good idea. But the more you, forgot exactly what I was going to say there. Some of these branches, when I look at the painting, the photograph, I can see there's a white top edge to a lot of them, and I'm just wondering how much did that make the photograph look attractive? Was that an important part of the scene? Should I be looking at doing that myself? So, thinking about that. I'll let you know in touch in a minute. So I'll just add some dark, these stripes, grass shadows I'm basically putting in here, which is how to do the shadows of the grasses rather than the sunny parts, even amongst them. Yeah. So if you half close your eyes, you're sort of painting backwards. Reverse painting, I think you could call it, where you paint the shadows, not the actual product. Okay, so just, and this is where you start your own signature style off if you're a beginner. The way you make these marks is usually, it's a little bit like your handwriting. It becomes unique for you. So make sure you do add lots of marks to your work. Lots of greenery over here. Yep. Okay. Let's start thinking. Definitely want to have more reflections in this, shadows in the water at the front here. I'm not sure which brush I should use. I think I'll go for this fairly small, fairly small Kalinsky Israel. It's a sable brush, and I can't remember. It's probably a 10. Don't think I've been able to see that for a while. What colour, what size that is. So just need to pull it together a little bit this side, and I'm just going to add some browns here in amongst that grey. Pull it over that way. Now I'm going to put some blue over the top of that. Yep. Smudge some of it out. Horizontal lines because I'm going to put ferns in there, I think. I'm hinting at ferns. Okay. Now, very dark for me. I'll go neutral tint. And I'm not quite sure I've got the right brush for this. No. Just to be, I might go for the flat. This might be the time to use the flat neutral tint. I'll do some horizontal. Scrape a bit off my brush. I don't want the brush to be too loaded. In amongst those shadows there, I want to add more darkness. As you might have guessed, I'm a dark painter. You'll see other watercolourists who always do light works. And they're beautiful, but I tend to want to paint dark areas. Now, I'm not going to say I don't think that's necessarily the right thing to have done, but I'm going to just put a bit of wetness on that to lighten that up. Now, the back, I'm feeling it's a little bit too light, so I'm going to darken it out. I'll go for just a greeny, purpley grey. Look at that beautiful colour. Just touch it in here and there and see how it looks. Oh, I know what I'll do. I'll put it all the way over, different heights, some up higher at the sides,
Then I'll come in with a bit of spray and see what that does. Okay, touch of spray should lighten that up. Smudge it around. Okay, going good. And while I'm here, I'm going to, not until you do something and it dries and you realise it's got to go darker. So I'm mixing up purple. Just put the, I've got a paint there called Aussie Gold, and it goes really bright yellow. Don't necessarily want it to be that colour, but it does fade. It's very deceptive. Okay, so once again, coming back over some of these shadows in the foreground. Just zigzagging them this time. Hope you can see that. I hope my hand wasn't in the way then. Shades at the side. Purple again. And a little bit of interesting crisscross pattern down here. Right. Using the purple, I'm really overusing the purple, but against the green, there's a lot of purple in this photograph. Come down there. So I'm going back into areas that I've already painted and just smudging it around a little bit. That way making it not so even. Half closed my eyes now and I look at my photograph, half closed eyes, and this, and I kind of see darks and lights that are similar to what was there. I do think I need to put the white paint over the centre part, and then I need to go in with some more brighter greens. Now's the time to maybe pop the green out. Here we go. I'm using a different brush again. I'm using all different. This is the Escoda number 12. I'm going to make a yellowy green. Just splash it in here and there. Especially that lot there. Down here. Yep. And then it's going to pick up a little bit in this. I do these watercolours more like an oil painter would do rather than a genuine oil watercolourist. So I suggest you watch other videos before you lock yourself into a particular style. Now I've added that very dark, but I'm going to come back and wipe it out. Yep. Might also do the same over here. Add some colour behind that tree. You can see why it's difficult to put foliage in and everything. You could experiment with doing the entire background absolutely perfect and then coming out over it with the trees at the very end. So there you go, that's fun and games to be had here. In fact, if you use the end of a brush, sometimes it's just as easy as a fingernail. No, I prefer fingernail. You know why? Because you can get a fatter stripe, a fatter mark. That's gone already. You've got to do this while it's wet, of course, in the background there. Don't want too much detail in the background because it's a long, theoretically it's a long way away. So all this, it's the foreground where you normally do these big for me anyway. Lovely, strong. Just going to colours, which reminds me I'm going to do that. Totally not there, but oh, that's nice. A little bit of green in amongst those purples. Yep. Okay. Now I shall have a go with a couple of things. Looking at those trees at the back, one stripe of purple not enough, so I'm going to go in amongst them and add dark in the middle. Not on that one, of course, because it's overlapping. If you had the sun coming from one side rather than behind, this is where you would actually put the shadow on one side of the trunk, but because the sun's behind, I'm putting the shadow right in the middle, down the centre of all these trunks. And because they're still a little bit wet, they're bleeding a little bit, which is good. Right down there, I'm going to put lines in the background, very light, to indicate how much foliage there is, how busy it is. It's not grass, it's not green grass, it's not a field. And this is a very pale grey that I'm using. I don't know that any of these trees had leaves on them, and that's kind of indicative of maybe a bushfire's gone through not too long ago. Now, I've made a decision where I'm going to change what I said before, not to put too many branches in. I'm going to put a lot in. More in one area than in the other, so let's just choose this one, which is kind of like what's in the photograph there. Yeah, kind of like it. Intense. I'll do the same with the, I'll put some more shadows in amongst those grasses. Then I'll go to black underneath. In one way this is kind of drawing. Oh, I didn't know I had such a dark area there. Kind of weird. Doesn't have a reason for being, so I might try and see how I go, just lightening that out. Give it a vertical scrape down so that you lose that horizontal line. Yep. Yes and no. Okay. I'll go straight to white now, and the Winsor & Newton gouache, and I like to take it out of the tube, which means I squeeze a tiny bit out if I haven't had the lid on it, which is usually the case for me. Oh. Gouache doesn't really dry out. I mean, it does, but you can wet it up again, like all watercolour. So at this stage, I'm going to do a couple of fun things. I'm going to put some light on the top of this foliage. I'm going to add some white spots in behind there. Then I'm going to crisscross and just very fine, if I can make it really fine. There. Then the water's going to go, not following the photograph very well obviously, because the water has gone over this side now. And I just put a couple of little spots. This is one of those things, watch what I'm doing, don't listen to me. Don't think I need to lighten it up too much, but I will. Now this one here, oops, excuse me. If I really blow up the photograph, you can see lots of spots and things happening. So I'll just cover it with little dabs. Not worrying about the shadows really. Down the edge here is always handy to have a little bit of white on the tip. Theoretically, the light doesn't hit where the shadows are, but you can have cross shadows. I'll go back up here and make sure this mismatches. So I'll add a few spots there, and then I'll go to the back and add a couple, although I can't get fine enough back there. Of course, I've got that very faint wash there, this white is showing up, it's quite good. A couple of dry brush strokes there. I might put one going that way, just to stop that one-way look. Then I'm going to go like this. A couple more like that. Lordy Lord, this is the fun part. Anywhere where there's bubbling water, it's going to be white. Just put a little bit more water on my brush, it's getting a little bit too dry. So it's just assuming that there's more water falling here, but you can't quite see it. Run it down. Now it's quite pretty here because something's happening. There's a little bit of blue. Need to add blue to the white. Let's see if I can get a nice bright blue. Which one of my blues is bright? They're all covered up with brown paint. Let's see if I can dig in there. There we go. It's the Cobalt Blue, is the prettiest blue that I have. If you had cerulean blue, that would be fun too. So mix that with some of your white. A little bit gouache this. And then put some light blues in amongst that white. Yep, even up here, coming back there. A hint of the blue sky, because we have got a blue sky in this case, on this occasion. Oh, lost my painting. Okay, so I'm going to come back to white. I think the white's got the most impact. Comes down to a nice little piece like that. And this, in this case, these trees, because they're backlit, they all have a little bit of light behind them. And it's not on one side or the other, it's actually on both sides, which is kind of weird. But I'll just, I won't overdo it, I'll just try and put it on anything that's facing upwards, or anything that looks like it needs a little bit of a pick-me-up. Yeah. Let's just pretend there's more. Just going to do some dry brush across that to get that spotted feel. forces the brush to break up. What's happening at the front? Let's go for a little bit more here. Oh, I know. I'll do the blue at the front, which is white mixed with the blue, because you need it to be opaque. If you only just put blue in by itself, it won't work. Right. Just adding a touch of blue here and there now. I do want to be able to mark out that little pathway up on the right hand side, and it's got lots of white things happening. So I'll just mark it like that. Very rough. Behind these trees, the odd little branch has caught the sun. Right, now I think I'm finished. I'm going to go away for a minute because I've been told it's lunchtime. And I'm going to go and fix some lunch for Bobby. And I'll come back and I'll just decide whether it's what milk. I can see I can just go nuts over all this grass here. There's a lot of it that's got light areas in it. I could definitely play around here. But one way is to half close your eyes, and where you find the lighter areas, add more light to those areas. Don't put light on the dark so much. A little bit, but not on the whole. If you want to be safe, light on light, dark on dark for adding detail. So these ones here really do need a lot of fun. Wow, that's got to be good fun. And that one there. Okay, just remember it's a painting. You've got to paint, add paint. Paint the daylight out of it. Don't think I can see much light in the background there, but I'm just going to add those to the detail just for the fun of it. Okay, right, I'm possibly finished, so I will add my signature now, and I'll just do it in white. That means I can either come back and make a change, and if I don't, it is finished. There. But I won't take the edges off yet. I'll probably come back and have a think about that.
Well, thank you guys. Here is the painting, and I hope you enjoyed watching me do this one. I enjoyed painting it. Details on the website with all the brushes I used and the colours that I've used, and also the reference photo, that's right, and the sketch available for download. And so pop over there if you decide to do it yourself. I suggest you should. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next one.